The Vorg outpost vibrated with raucous laughter as the motley crew of alien mercenaries gathered around a small, trembling creature trapped inside a cramped cage. It was a tiny earth puppy, its soft brown fur matted with filth, and its wide, innocent eyes filled with fear. The aliens poked and prodded at the helpless animal, their cruel taunts echoing through the dimly lit cargo hold. "Look at this pathetic little runt," sneered Geode KX, a burly reptilian with a jagged scar across his snout. "I've seen meteor snacks crawling out of my nutrient processor with more fight in them." "Careful, KX," warned Lilf, a spindly insectoid with compound eyes that glittered with malice. "I hear these earth creatures can be quite fierce. It might just nibble your scaly hide to shreds." Another burst of mocking laughter filled the air as the aliens continued to torment the puppy. They had captured the small creature during a raid on a human colony, snatching it from the arms of a terrified child. To the mercenaries, it was nothing more than a curious trinket, a living trophy to be toyed with and discarded at their whim. Little did they know, the puppy's owner, a grizzled ex-Marine named Jack Jenkins, was already on their trail. Jack had been away on a mission when the colony was attacked. He returned to find his home in ruins and his beloved puppy missing. With a heart full of rage and determination, he set out to track down the alien scum who had taken his furry friend. As the aliens' laughter reached a crescendo, the cargo hold doors suddenly burst open with a deafening clang. There, silhouetted against the harsh glare of the ship's corridor, stood Jack Jenkins. His muscular frame was clad in battle-scarred armor, and his eyes blazed with a fury that could melt steel. "Step away from the puppy," Jack growled, his voice low and menacing, "or I'll paint this ship with your guts." The aliens froze, their laughter dying in their throats as they turned to face the human intruder. Geode KX was the first to recover, his lips curling back in a snarl as he reached for his plasma rifle. "You dare threaten us, human," he hissed. "You're outnumbered and outgunned. This puppy is ours now, and there's nothing you can do about it." Jack's eyes narrowed, and a cold smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I give you the impression that this was a negotiation?" With a lightning-fast motion, Jack drew his pulse pistol and fired. The searing bolt of energy caught Geode KX between the eyes, and the reptilian's head exploded in a shower of gore. His lifeless body crumpled to the floor. The other aliens let out startled cries and scrambled for their weapons, but Jack was already moving. He dove behind a stack of crates as plasma bolts sizzled through the air around him, returning fire with deadly precision. One by one, the mercenaries fell, their bodies riddled with smoking holes. In a matter of seconds, the cargo hold was silent, save for the hum of the ship's engines and the soft whimpering of the puppy. Jack emerged from behind the crates, his armor scorched and dented but his spirit unbroken. He strode over to the cage and tore it open, gently scooping the trembling puppy into his arms. "It's okay, buddy," he murmured, cradling the tiny creature against his chest. "I've got you now. Let's go home." As Jack turned to leave, he cast one last contemptuous glance at the fallen aliens. "Humanity, yeah," he muttered under his breath, a grim smile playing across his battle-hardened features. With his loyal puppy safe in his arms, Jack Jenkins strode out of the cargo hold and into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store. He knew that as long as he had his furry companion by his side, there was nothing he couldn't overcome. Together, they would show the galaxy the true strength and resilience of the human spirit. Jack Jenkins strode through the winding corridors of the Vorg outpost, his pulse pistol at the ready, and his puppy nestled safely in the crook of his arm. The little creature had finally stopped trembling, comforted by the familiar scent and warmth of its human companion. As they navigated the labyrinthine ship, Jack's mind raced with thoughts of revenge and retribution. He had seen the cruelty of the alien mercenaries firsthand, witnessed their callous disregard for innocent lives. It wasn't just about his puppy anymore. It was about sending a message to the entire damn universe that humanity would not be trifled with. Suddenly, an alarm blared throughout the ship, red lights pulsing in a frenzied rhythm. The mercenaries had discovered the bodies of their fallen comrades and were now out for blood. Jack cursed under his breath and quickened his pace, his boots pounding against the metal grating of the floor. He rounded a corner and found himself face to face with a group of heavily armed reptilians, their scales glistening under the harsh fluorescent lights. The aliens let out a collective hiss of rage and raised their weapons, but Jack was faster. He dove to the side, rolling behind a bulkhead as a hail of plasma bolts scorched the air where he had been standing just moments before. "Stay down, little buddy," Jack whispered to the puppy, setting it gently on the floor behind the bulkhead. "I'll be right back." With a feral grin, Jack leaped out from his cover and charged toward the reptilians, his pulse pistol spitting out a barrage of searing energy. The aliens scattered, their formation broken by the ferocity of Jack's assault. He weaved and dodged, his movements a blur of speed and precision as he closed the distance between himself and his foes. One by one, the reptilians fell, their bodies riddled with smoking holes. Jack fought like a man possessed, his every shot finding its mark with uncanny accuracy. When his pistol ran dry, he switched to his vibroknife, the wickedly sharp blade slicing through scales and flesh with sickening ease. In a matter of minutes, the corridor was littered with the corpses of the fallen mercenaries, their blood pooling on the floor in a grotesque mosaic. Jack stood amidst the carnage, his chest heaving with exertion and his armor splattered with gore. He turned back to the bulkhead, a triumphant smile on his face, only to feel his blood run cold. The puppy was gone. Jack's eyes widened in horror as he realized his mistake. In his single-minded pursuit of vengeance, he had left his most precious companion vulnerable. He spun around, his gaze frantically searching the corridor for any sign of the little creature. That's when he heard it, a soft, pitiful whimper echoing from somewhere deep within the ship. Jack's heart clenched in his chest and he took off running, his mind consumed with a single desperate thought: find the puppy, save his friend. He raced through the ship, his senses heightened to a razor's edge as he strained to hear the puppy's cries over the blaring alarms and the distant sounds of battle. The mercenaries were in disarray, their ranks thinned by Jack's relentless assault. But he knew they wouldn't give up easily. They would fight to the last man to protect their ill-gotten gains and their twisted sense of pride. As he turned a corner, Jack skidded to a halt, his eyes widening in disbelief. There, at the end of the corridor, stood Lilf, the insectoid mercenary, his spindly limbs wrapped around the struggling form of the puppy. The creature's tiny jaws were clamped around one of Lilth's fingers, but the alien seemed more amused than pained by the puppy's defiance. "I must admit, human," Lilf chittered, his mandibles clicking together in a grotesque approximation of a smile. "This little beast has spirit. It will make a fine addition to my collection." Jack's eyes narrowed, his grip tightening on his pulse pistol. "Over my dead body, you overgrown cockroach." Liltha's compound eyes glittered with malevolent glee. "That can be arranged." With a sudden, violent motion, the insectoid hurled the puppy across the corridor, its tiny body slamming against the wall with a sickening thud. Jack let out a roar of rage and charged forward, his pistol blazing as he closed the distance between himself and his foe. Lilf was fast, his exoskeleton deflecting the pulse blast with ease as he darted toward Jack, his razor-sharp claws extended. The two warriors clashed in a flurry of strikes and counterstrikes, their movements a deadly dance of skill and fury. But even as he fought, Jack's mind was consumed with worry for his puppy. He could see the little creature, lying motionless on the floor, its tiny chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. The sight filled him with a desperate, all-consuming rage, and he redoubled his efforts, his blows raining down upon Lilf with merciless precision. In the end, it was the insectoid's arrogance that proved to be his undoing. Confident in his own superiority, Lilf left himself open for a split second too long, and Jack seized the opportunity. With a final, devastating blow, he shattered the alien's exoskeleton, his vibroknife plunging deep into the soft, vulnerable flesh beneath. Lilf let out a gurgling scream and collapsed, his limbs twitching spasmodically as his life drained away. Jack didn't spare the fallen mercenary a second glance as he rushed to the puppy's side, his heart pounding in his chest. "Come on, little buddy," he whispered, gathering the tiny creature in his arms. "Stay with me." To his immense relief, the puppy stirred, its warm brown eyes fluttering open to gaze up at him with a mixture of pain and trust. Jack felt a lump form in his throat, and he hugged the puppy close, his battle-hardened exterior crumbling in the face of the creature's unwavering loyalty. "Let's get the hell out of here," he murmured, his voice rough with emotion. "We've got a universe to explore and a whole lot of alien ass to kick." With the puppy cradled safely against his chest, Jack Jenkins strode toward the Vorg outpost hangar bay, his spirit unbroken and his resolve stronger than ever. The galaxy would learn to fear the name of Jack Jenkins and his indomitable puppy, the living embodiments of humanity's unconquerable spirit. For they were more than just a man and his dog. They were a force of nature, a testament to the unbreakable bond between a human and his loyal companion. And heaven help any alien foolish enough to stand in their way. Jack Jenkins burst into the hangar bay, his pulse pistol at the ready and his puppy held close to his chest. The vast, cavernous space was a hive of activity, with alien mercenaries scrambling to their ships in a desperate attempt to flee the outpost. The air was thick with the acrid scent of fuel and the deafening roar of engines, but Jack paid it no mind. His focus was solely on the sleek black vessel that sat at the far end of the bay, its angular lines and bristling weapons a testament to its deadly purpose. The Void Raven, his ship, his home. With a grim smile, Jack charged forward, his boots pounding against the metal deck as he wove through the chaos of the hangar. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air around him, the mercenaries firing wildly in a vain attempt to bring him down. But Jack was too quick, too determined to be stopped by their pathetic efforts. He leaped over a stack of crates, rolled under a hovering cargo loader, and came up firing, his pulse pistol spitting out a barrage of searing energy. The mercenaries scattered, their ranks thinning as Jack's relentless assault took its toll. Suddenly, a massive figure loomed up before him, its bulky frame encased in heavy battle armor. It was a Croft, a species renowned for their brute strength and love of violence. The alien let out a bellowing roar and charged forward, its massive fist swinging with bone-crushing force. Jack didn't hesitate. He dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the Croft's first blow, and came up firing. His pulse blast ricocheted off the alien's armor, leaving scorch marks but doing little damage. The Croft laughed, a deep, guttural sound that sent shivers down Jack's spine. "Foolish human," the alien rumbled, its voice like gravel in a blender. "You think your puny weapons can harm me? I will crush you like an insect." Jack's eyes narrowed, and he tightened his grip on his pistol. "Big talk for a walking slab of meat," he growled. "Let's see if you can back it up." With a roar of his own, Jack charged forward, firing as he ran. The Croft lumbered toward him, its massive fist swinging with brutal efficiency. Jack ducked and weaved, his movements a blur of speed and precision as he danced around the alien's blows. The puppy, still cradled in the crook of his arm, let out a high-pitched bark of encouragement, its tiny tail wagging with excitement. Jack felt a surge of pride and affection for the little creature, and he redoubled his efforts, determined to end this fight and get them both to safety. He feinted to the left, drawing the Croft's attention, then pivoted to the right, his pulse pistol coming up in a lightning-fast motion. The alien's head snapped back as a searing bolt of energy caught it square between the eyes, and it toppled backward, its massive frame crashing to the deck with a resounding boom. Jack didn't pause to savor his victory. He was already moving, racing toward the Void Raven with single-minded determination. He bounded up the ramp, his boots clanging against the metal grating, and slammed his fist against the airlock controls. The doors hissed open, and he dove inside, the puppy still held tight against his chest. The interior of the Void Raven was a welcome sight. Its sleek lines and gleaming surfaces a stark contrast to the grim, utilitarian corridors of the Vorg outpost. Jack felt a sense of relief wash over him as he settled into the pilot's chair, his hands flying over the controls with practiced ease. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted off the deck, its thrusters flaring with brilliant blue light. Jack grinned as he felt the familiar surge of acceleration, the G-forces pressing him back into his seat as the Void Raven hurtled toward the stars. In the co-pilot's chair, the puppy let out a contented yawn and curled up into a ball, its soft fur brushing against Jack's arm. He glanced down at the little creature, his heart swelling with a fierce, protective love. "We did it, buddy," he murmured, his voice rough with emotion. "We're free." As the Void Raven streaked through the endless expanse of space, Jack Jenkins felt a sense of purpose and determination settle over him. The universe was a vast, dangerous place, filled with untold wonders and unspeakable horrors. But with his loyal puppy by his side, he knew that he could face anything the cosmos had to throw at him. For they were Jack Jenkins and his indomitable puppy, the scourge of alien scum and the champions of humanity. And their adventures were only just beginning,